want you to imagine giving one of your friends a high five. Seems simple, right? Now I want you to imagine giving one of your friends a high five with your eyes closed. Not so simple, right? When you're visually impaired, simple tasks like that can become very hard. So, welcome to today's video. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the frustrations with being visually impaired. So on this channel, we have a lot of fun with talking about our disabilities and crazy things that we've done and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that there's not some pretty difficult things that come along with it. I mean, a major one is like stereotypes, which is a topic for a different video because there's so many. But as well, there's things like right now in my physics class, we're learning about light, and a lot of it has been hands-on labs, experiments, and visual things. And I can't see any of them, and it's becoming very frustrating for me to learn when I can't see. Or the same thing happened in grade 10 science when we were doing dissections or microscopes, and you just can't see. You can't grasp the concepts. It's also things like when my school does breakfast, like the athletic breakfast and the graduation breakfast. It's kind of buffet style, and that can be hard. And I say that buffets are hard, and people kind of give me the, what do you mean buffets are hard? They're absolutely fine. But more specifically, they're hard when you're visually impaired, because you go up and you probably can't tell what the foods are, and then you can't find the scoop, and then you can't get enough on the scoop and get it onto your plate successfully, and sometimes it can be really hard. And one of the things with that is that I'm someone who would like very commonly ask for help. It's something that I just naturally do. But when you're 17 and you walk up to a teacher to say, "Hi, can you help me get my food?" They look at you because you're 17. Why do you need help getting your food? But it's also that another frustration is that people without visual impairments don't get it. There's a lot of things that I've said to my sighted friends that they just don't understand. And connecting that a little bit to why Hannah and I do this channel is that you just need people to talk to who understand. So a frustration being that sighted people don't understand. So find someone with a visual impairment who understands. Obviously, another frustration is not being able to drive, because I either have to get my parents or a friend to drive me whenever I want to go somewhere, or I have to take the city bus, which when you live outside of town like I do, you can only take the city bus when you've already been driven into town. So that's obviously a huge frustration. It's also frustrating that people are uneducated. The fact that a lot of people don't know about it, and just the encounters that you have because of it, like my story time video that we did. Things like that happen because people are uneducated, and that can also be quite frustrating. Also, sometimes getting accommodations can be frustrating when you tell someone that you need something, not that you want it, that you need it to be successful, and when they don't give it to you. That's always super frustrating as well. It's also quite frustrating that I can't do things by myself, and that some things, it's not that I can't do things by myself. There's obviously tons of things that I can do independently, but just that there are some things that I will never be able to do by myself. So I do tandem biking, and that's a perfect example right there, is that I will not be able to ride a single bike by myself out down the trails and whatever. I have to get a tandem bike, and I have to get somebody else to go with me, because I just can't see enough to see people coming, see objects coming. I would ride up and down my road a couple times when I was a little younger, and but I would just on a single bike, but I would still have somebody else with me on another bike. But now it's just gotten to the point where if I want to go ride a bike, I have to take somebody else with me. That's just something that no matter what happens, I have to do it with somebody else. And sometimes that's a little frustrating, because, you know, my sister comes home from school and she just hops on her bike, takes a ride, and she's gone. She has that kind of freedom, but someone like myself wouldn't necessarily get the same thing. And finally, I think something just as a general frustration with people for disabilities is the kind of politics involved with it. The fact that disabled people often don't graduate high school, they often are unemployed, and often aren't as equal, and that's obviously super frustrating. But come on Earth, we're working on it. We're getting there. I do think that we'll get there eventually, but for right now, it's definitely super frustrating when you're trying to like get a job and whatever, and they're like, oh, you look like a great candidate on paper, but you're blind, so no. Alright guys, that is enough of the serious talk for a little bit. Like I said, this was just a few of the frustrations that come along with specifically being visually impaired, a little bit disability general wise, but just because I say that there are these things that frustrate me, that make me so angry sometimes, it doesn't mean that there's not good things. Obviously there is good things, and we do still talk about them out here on the channel, and that is great. So if you want to see some more stuff, make sure to check us out, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye!